पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिनां मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणी केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वदी साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि। पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवतां नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिनां मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनम् देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। Welcome you all with my love and respects. The 9th chapter starts with a beautiful sloka from Krishna. Bhagavan says, Idam dude guhyatamam pravakshamyana suyave jnanam vinyana sahitam yanyatva mokshase subha. Bhagavan gives the assurance to Arjuna. He says, my dear Arjuna, because you are never envious of me, I shall impart to you this most confidential knowledge and realization, knowing which you shall be relieved of the miseries of the material existence. Beautiful line. He says, because you are never envious of me. Now we should understand, how can Arjuna be envious of Krishna? Please be very clear. You don't know the way in which human minds work. You don't know the way in which human minds work. Especially for us now, Arjuna is a man, Krishna is God. We accepted Krishna as God. But when he was alive, when he was in the body, people have not accepted. And not only that, Arjuna and Krishna were friends. They were friends. Arjuna, Krishna says, idam dude guhyatamam pravakshamyana suyave jnanam vinyana sahitam yanyatva mukshase subhat. My dear Arjuna, because you are never envious of me, I shall impart to you this most confidential knowledge and realization, knowing which you shall be relieved of the miseries of material existence. We should understand first the atmosphere, background. Only then we will be able to understand the whole chapter intensely as it is expressed. You will be surprised. Even the thought may make us surprised. How can Arjuna be envious of Krishna? To tell you honestly, whenever the masters were in the body, people never respected them. Always this problem existed. Only when they have left the body, actually it is very easy to worship the photograph, but never a living person. With a living person, always we question, we envy. There is a beautiful one-liner. The grandfather who was living outside the house, came into the house as a photograph after death. As long as he is alive, he lives only in the outside the house. He lives only in the outhouse. Especially in India, every house will have the front veranda. As long as he is alive, he lives only in veranda. When he is dead, his photograph will be kept inside the puja room. He has no place in the puja room. When he is alive, he has no place inside the house. But once he dies, his photograph will have the place inside the house. Same way, when a master is alive, he is never understood, he is never respected, he is never received, his teachings are never received. When he is dead, when he is no more, it is easy to worship him. There is a beautiful incident. A group of devotees from Chaitanya's birthplace is called Mayapur. From that place, a group of devotees come to Ramakrishna. They all tell him, "Oh Ramakrishna, oh Master, we missed Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We could not see him. If we had that fortune, we would have become enlightened. We would have experienced the Krishna Bhakti." Ramakrishna laughs. He says, when Chaitanya was alive, many people used to go to him and they will complain, "We missed Sri Krishna. We could not see Sri Krishna. If you have seen Sri Krishna, you would have enjoyed the bhakti, energy." Ramakrishna says, "Open your eyes and see. Chaitanya is here." Just like how people go to Chaitanya and talk about Krishna, you have come here to talk about Ramakrishna. You have come here to talk about Chaitanya. You have come and you are saying you have missed Chaitanya. Whenever Master is alive, it is very difficult for people to accept. But once he is dead, people always talk, "We missed Ramakrishna, we missed Ramana Maharshi, we missed Chaitanya, or we missed Mirabai." We always complain about what we missed. We never realize what we have. Here, Krishna says, "Idam tude guhyadamam." Because you are never envious of me, I will give you the ultimate secret. Please understand. Here Krishna is giving the ultimate secret. Once you know this secret, there is no difference between you and the divine. Here he gives you the straight ultimate secret. Usually in business, whatever you may do, however you may be close, the leader will never give all the secrets to you. Always the corporate people, they will maintain the business secrets. Here Krishna says, I am not going to maintain any secret. I am opening the whole thing. He says knowledge is free. It is up to you to use it. After 5,000 years, today modern day IT companies are declaring knowledge is free. But 5,000 years ago Krishna declares knowledge is free. He says, I am opening all the secrets. Idam tude guhyadamam pravakshyamyana suyave. He says, I am giving you this secret because you are never envious of me. An important thing, all the people who go near the master, they should learn, especially people who live around the master. By and by, these disciples, instead of trying to achieve the state of the master, they start trying to work for the status of the master. State is different, status is different. State of the master should be achieved, not the status. When we work for the status, we are caught in the trouble. I went to a college for public lecture, for a meditation program in Tamil Nadu. One young boy, you know how the college kids behave. Actually, in America, college kids behave much more decently and politely. And in India, a little bit of education, and you know how they behave. One guy, he questioned me, why should you be respected so much? After all, you are my age. Of course, it is true. I am just hardly few years elder than him. Same age. Why should they shower so much of rose flowers at your feet when you come? In India, usually when Swamis go, they put all the flowers and receive. I tried my best to advise the organizer, don't do all these things, don't put flowers and all these things, especially it is a college. Naturally, I will face this question. But the organizer is our devotee. Somehow he wants to show his devotion. He did all the big arrangements. In the question and answer session, the boy directly asked me, why should so much of flowers be showered at your feet? Why should you be respected so much? Of course, naturally jealous, nothing else. First thing I told him, see, I tried my best to avoid these arrangements, but out of their devotion, they have done it. Next thing, from other angle if you see, you are seeing only the flowers which is showered now. You don't know how many thorns these legs are crossed. How much of tapas has happened in this body, you don't know. How many thorns this leg has to cross to come to this flower, you don't know. So don't be envious of the status. Be envious of the state. Try to achieve the same state in which I am living. Then not only flowers, you will be showered with everything. Achieve the state, not the status. When we see the status, we will always be caught in jealousy. If you see the state, I will become an inspiration source. If you look from the status, I will create jealousy in you. If you look from the state, I will become inspiration for you. If you see the state in which I am living, I will be an inspiration source for you to achieve the same state. I will be a role model. When he can achieve, why not me? I can become an inspiration source. I always tell people, the only difference, the one and only difference between ordinary man and enlightened man is sleeping, the enlightened man is awakened, that's all. But same consciousness, again and again I repeat, whether you believe it or not, accept it or not, realize it or not, you are God, you are divine. You have only one choice. You can sleep as long as you want without experiencing it. But the truth is, you are that. Here, Krishna says, because you never tried to achieve my status, I am trying to give you my state. Person who never tries to achieve the status of the master achieves the state of the master. First the state should come, then the status will follow. If you try to create only the status, the state will never be achieved. Please be very clear. Ramakrishna says, first the God, then the world. The world is like a shadow. If you run behind it, status is like a shadow. How much you try to chase, you will never be able to grab it. But if you just walk in your life, it will simply follow. The outward is like a shadow. If you try to run behind it, try to catch it, you will never be able to grab. Try your best, run behind the shadow. Can you catch it? Can you grab it? No. But if you walk in your path, it will simply follow you. Go towards the status will follow you. If you run behind the status, you will never be able to grab it. Here Krishna says, because you will never act jealousy, you are never envious of me and my status, I am giving you the ultimate secret of this state. And I tell you, this is the ultimate secret. Really, this is the ultimate secret. And he says, knowing which you shall be relieved of the miseries of material existence. What is the miseries of material existence? Whether you have it or not, it is misery. If you don't have the misery that I don't have. If you have the misery, you have to protect it. Yoga means achieving. Kshema means protecting. Yoga means achieving. Kshema means preserving. Both are miseries. Whether you have or not, it is misery. Here Krishna says, by knowing this one secret, the both miseries of not having wealth or having wealth, both the miseries caused to you by material existence will disappear. And I tell you, honestly, this is the ultimate secret which needs to be understood. Raja Vidya Rajaguhyam Pavitram Idamuttamam Pratyakshavaghamam Dharmam Susugam Kartumavyayam. Raja Vidya Rajaguhyam Pavitram Idamuttamam Pratyakshavagamam Dharmyam Susugam Kartumavyayam. He says, this knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is by the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, it is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting and it is joyfully performed. See, a religion or a spiritual path should have three characters. First, it should describe the goal of the life clearly. Next, it should give you the path to achieve that goal clearly. Third, it should make you feel happy to travel in that path. The path itself should be joyful. There are some herbal doctors who put big board that they will cure everything. Like that one doctor. Here all diseases which you know the names and which you don't know the names will be cured. Big board. One person came with a disease. Doctor asked, what is the disease? This guy said, I don't know the name. Please you diagnose by yourself. The doctor diagnosed, tried his best. He was not able to find. But he has put a big board. He has to cure. There is no other way. So he gave the medicine. The medicine is swallow the crowbar without touching your teeth on it and drink 3 liters of water. You will be cured. What kind of medicine it is? the very medicine shows very clearly that person will not be cured. Same way, your solution or your path, your prescription should not be impractical. The path which you are showing should not be impractical. If it is impractical, naturally, you cannot practice it. There was a yogi in Himalayas. Same way, when disciples come to him, he will give a technique. Hold your nose for 2 hours and sit. Can anybody sit? And he will say, if you do that, you will become enlightened. Who can travel in that path? Nobody can travel. Path which you are explaining should not be complicated, should be simple. So here Krishna says it is everlasting, means the result which you achieve is everlasting. All the advertising terms he is using. And it is joyfully performed. You don't need to struggle for it. You don't need to suffer. It is a deepest secret. All you need to understand is just realize the secret. Understand the secret. Why it is secret? Why it is secret? First thing we should analyze. If it is going to be so much of help, if it is going to be such an important thing, why should it be kept as a secret? Why not let the whole world use it? Please be very clear. The ultimate knowledge is not for mass. Mass always gets stuck with the small things. The same thing. If you run a cinema theater here, how much a crowd will be here? Or a public show, the crowd will be 10 times more. Because we built a temple, only few hundred people are here. Temple is only for the chosen few, not for all. You need intelligence to come to temple. You need intelligence to enter into spirituality. It is not for all. Yesterday I received a question. One lady gave me a question. Swamiji, my husband is not accepting, understanding the path in which I am traveling. The yoga path. My spouse does not understand the path of yoga that I am on. Coming to this program is important to me and I want to attend, but it is difficult for my husband. Do you have a suggestion to help this situation, to help bridge this gap? How to make husband or wife spiritual? How to convert them to spirituality? To tell you honestly, if I know the secret, why do you think I will become a Swami? Honest answer is, it cannot be done. It cannot be done. It has to only happen. It has to only happen. I can say one thing. All you can do is give him little intelligence about life. You cannot give directly spirituality. Please don't teach, don't tell him to meditate. Don't tell him to come to the temple directly. Tell him again and again about the life. What kind of life we are living? What are we doing? Why don't you start thinking about the life? Again and again we are caught in the same rut. All we can do is give little intelligence about life, that's all. Nothing else can be done. Only by intelligence any man can come to spirituality. That is why this is preserved as a secret. If this intelligence, spiritual intelligence is given to all, without bothering about the qualification of a receiver, that person who receives, he will harm himself and harm others. First thing, he will harm himself if he is not understood completely. For example, the same word, you are God. If it is told for a criminal, what he will do? I am God, then let me do whatever I want. I don't have to bother. He will misuse the knowledge. He will not use it. He will abuse it. A person who really experiences his God, he will radiate compassion. He will radiate simplicity. He will radiate innocence. The divine qualities will start expressing through him. He can never hurt anybody. You can see a beautiful innocent child in him, a simplicity in him. He can never hurt anybody. He can never harm anybody. One thing, if you are relaxed, blissful, in a good mood, even if your worker does some mistake, will you shout at him? You say, all right, leave it, what can be done? Leave it. If you are in a bad mood, in an irritative mood, nobody needs to do any mistake. You directly shout at them. You are waiting to fire. You are waiting to shout. Only your mood decides your action. If you are blissful, you will never do anything wrong. If you are in hell, you will always do mistake. Please don't think people go to hell after doing mistake. No, no. You do mistake because you are in hell. You do right things because you are blissful. A person who experiences his God will never do any mistake, will never go and harm anybody. This knowledge, if it is given to all, naturally they will harm themselves and they will harm others. They will hurt others. They will tell, I am God. Come here. I will do whatever I want. That is why this knowledge is kept as secret. It's like if terrorists know the secret of atom bomb, naturally it is dangerous for them and for the world. If terrorists know about the secrets of atom bomb, naturally it is dangerous. Same way, this is the secrets of spiritual world, inner world. A person who is not qualified, if he knows this secret, it is dangerous for him. That is why he says, Raja Vidya, Raja Guhyam. Because Krishna revealed the secrets only to qualified people, he was blissful, he was happy. Look at the story of Christ. He is declaring, I am the only begotten Son of God. It is true. What Jesus declares is from his experience. He has experienced enlightenment. He has experienced the kingdom of God. He has experienced the heaven. That is why he expresses clearly, I am the Son of God. I am the Son of the Divine. But only one mistake. He expressed to the wrong persons. He is speaking about the inner kingdom. But people of the Rome, they started thinking he is trying to snatch the kingdom from the rulers. He is speaking totally different thing. They understood totally in a different way. Just communication gap. Poor guy has to die at the age of 32. He has to be killed, crucified. He has to be crucified. The whole thing is nothing but a simple communication problem. Simple communication problem. Communication misunderstanding. Jesus says, I am the Son of God. I am the owner of the divine kingdom. When he says, he means the inner space, the inner secrets. He is expressing his experience, but he expressed to the wrong persons. He has not kept that as a secret. Krishna also says, Krishna says in a much more clear way. He is not even telling, I am the Son of God. He says, I am God. I am everything. He says, in me, whole world is functioning. He goes to repeat the sloka. Yadagasa sthido nityam vayu sarvatra kaumahan tada sarvani bhutani matsyani ityupadarayah. He says, understand that as the mighty wind blowing everywhere rests always in the sky, all created beings rest in me. He says, I am not even God, I am something more than God. Whatever you think as God rests in me. All created beings rest in me. He is not declaring I am son of God. He is declaring I am God. But he was not crucified because he is declaring the truth to a person who can realize it, to a person who can understand it, not to the person who is not able to realize. You need to see whether the person is matured enough or not to receive the truth. Here, Krishna says it is secret because it can be delivered only to a person who is qualified. You see, the first 2-3 chapters, he speaks about the Shastra, intellectual knowledge which can be given to anybody. But these chapters are intimate secrets delivered only from a master to disciple, only to a disciple who is qualified, who is really interested to receive this knowledge, who really wants this knowledge. One person came to me and he asked me, Swamiji, please teach me about God. Give me enlightenment. I told him, please, it is time for prasad. Please go and eat in the ashram. They will serve you prasad. In Indian ashram, whomsoever comes, we give them food. In India, that is a habit. Not only in our ashram, any temple, if you go, you should be given prasadam, the temple prasad. That's a tradition. Rishis believe that Aditi Devo Bhava, guest is God. Guest is God. So we give them little food. Whatever we eat, we share with them. I told him, please go and eat and come back. I will talk to you in the evening session. He says, no, Swamiji, I have to go for bus. I have only half an hour time. In half an hour, tell me about God. In half an hour, what can you tell? What can the person understand in half an hour? Naturally, God cannot be given like an instant coffee. Coffee can be given instant. Coca-Cola can be given, but not God. You cannot have God instantly. You need to realize, you need to have little patience. The more you hurry, more you will delay. In the inner world, please understand, this is a sutra of the inner world. The more you hurry, more you delay. The very hurrying, very tension, very stress will postpone the process, will postpone the experience, will not let you relax. Here, that is why Krishna says, these secrets can be told only to a person who is really interested, who is really intimate, who really wants. Beautiful word. All our scriptures are called Upanishad. Even Gita is called as Upanishad. Gitasu, Upanishadsu, Brahma Vidyayam, Yoga Shastre, Sri Krishna Arjuna Samvade. Then the chapter name will come. That sloka, after every chapter ends, there is a mantra to say this chapter ends. Bhagavad Gitasu, Upanishadsu, Brahma Vidyayam, Yoga Shastre. Gita is also a Upanishad. We should understand the word Upanishad. Upanishad means sitting, that's all. Just sitting. The word Upanishad means just sitting. Nothing else. Why our books are called Upanishad? Because it can be taught only to a person who is waiting for master, who is just sitting and waiting for master. It cannot be given to a person who is doing business, means who wants to do business with master, who comes with an idea of give and take. No, it can be given only to a person who waits. who is waiting to receive this knowledge. If a person comes with a business agreement, business contract, he will say, why should I wait? You give that, I will give this, over. It is just exchange. So I don't have to wait. That's why business people never wait. In business, you don't need to wait. But when it comes to spiritual knowledge, it cannot be transmitted as business. I always tell people, spiritual knowledge is win-win situation. It is never business. If at all you can think it as a business, you also gain and master also gains. Both of them experience tremendous bliss by sharing. One thing, when you share suffering, your miseries, it always reduces. That is why you always catch people and vomit your sufferings. You start talking, you don't know, so much is happening in my life. Ask anybody about their life, how are you? The first line will be, nobody suffers like me, Swamiji. If anybody else is in my place, long before they would have committed suicide. It is because of me I survive. Somehow I am managing. You always share your suffering, because when you share, it reduces. When you share, it reduces. You pay to the psychiatric doctors just because they listen to you. Psychoanalysis is nothing but analyzing, and analyzing. Nothing can be done. You go on, lie down in the couch and talk, and they will be sitting behind the screen. Sometimes they will put the screen and go away. You will not even know. A small story. Same way, one patient used to come every week for psychoanalysis. He will lie down on the couch, they will put the curtain, and he will start talking. The doctor, after 2-3 weeks, he felt bored. Continuously, how long you can sit and repeating the same word, go ahead, yes. He decided, let me record these words in a tape recorder. Go ahead, yes. He recorded the tape recorder and started playing. The moment the patient comes, he will put the tape recorder and go away. After 2-3 weeks, the patient discovered. Patient found the truth. Now after that, he also started bringing a tape recorder. He recorded all his stories. Whole thing is spoken in his house itself. This is what is happening, doctor, to me. This is the way I started. This is the way this problem started. This is the way I came to the problem. This is where I am stuck. This is where I am standing. He brought the tape recorder. The moment he understood that the doctor has left, he put the tape recorder and he left. Both tape recorders are now talking. All our psychoanalysis, this much only. Nothing else. When you share your suffering, it reduces. When you share your bliss, it increases. Please understand, when you share your bliss, it increases. That is the quality of bliss. That is why you need company for any enjoyment. For any joy, you need company. When you share your suffering, it reduces. When you share your joy, it increases. The Indian education system, we always respect, we always give our devotion and respect to the knowledge. It is free, economically it is free, but psychologically you need commitment. In the West, education is psychologically free, but economically you need to pay. In the East, education, economically it is free, but psychologically you need to be committed. Education should be given only to a person who wants it. Actually, if you see, in Vedic system, education is not only free, the guru is supposed to give food and stay for the disciple. Still now, Vedic universities. Still now, the Vedic schools, there are so many Vedic schools in India. The students are given food and stay. And they are taught the Veda, given the knowledge, given the scripture. At least I can say 100,000 ashrams are there in India where food and stay, everything is given free and spiritual education is given. Spiritual education is given. In India, you need only psychological commitment. You don't need economical commitment. That is why education goes to a right person. Education goes to right person. Knowledge should not be given for money. If it is given for money, it goes to the person who is not interested. If he has got money, that's enough. Immediately he can start having big degrees. Please understand, when you have money but not the commitment, psychological commitment, all your degrees will be pseudo. You will sell your brain to buy certificate, that's all. You will not have deep knowledge. You will not have complete wisdom. There are many electrical engineers who don't know how to change fuse. There are many civil engineers who can't build even 2 feet wall. You don't know what is happening. There are many mechanical engineers who will have big certificate, but they can't even put one screw. They can't put one bolt. They can't do even a simple job. It needs psychological commitment. Why do you think Indian doctors are respected so much? Because they are interested in their knowledge. People are afraid to give their body to a person who is not interested in the knowledge. Small story. A doctor. Patient goes to a doctor and says, "Doctor, I have wheezing trouble. Please help me." Doctor says, "Go and sit under the cold water tap for 1 hour and come back." Patient was shocked. He says, "If I sit under the cold water tap for 1 hour, I'll have asthma." Doctor says, "That is what I wanted, because I know only how to treat asthma. I don't know how to treat wheezing. I left that in choice. I left that in choice in my exams. I left that in choice." You can't say you left something in choice. Doctors can't afford to say. The ultimate education, higher level education, can be given only to a person who is interested. Who is interested. In the East, the education needs psychological commitment, not economical commitment. The Western education needs economical commitment. Psychological commitment is up to you. That is why the scriptures emphasize on experience. They emphasize on experience. Only when you have psychological commitment, you will have experience. The next sloka. Asraddadana purusha dharmasyasya parandava aprapyamam nivartande mrityu samsaravatmani. Now, Bhagavan enters into the secret, the Raja Vidya, Rajaguhyam, king of secrets. He says, Raja Vidya, Rajaguhyam, Pavitram Idamuttamam, Pratyaksha Vahamam Dharmam, Susugam Gattam Avyayam. This knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge because it gives you direct perception of self. It gives you the direct experience of self. By realization of this, perfection of spiritual knowledge is achieved. See, the goal of religion or spiritual knowledge is achieving enlightenment. When you know this secret, that perfection is achieved, it is everlasting and it is joyfully performed. The result is everlasting. The result doesn't go away. Please understand, all the chapters which Krishna was teaching all these days, all these 8 chapters, when you listen, you feel like it is ultimate truth. But after 2 days, we forget. We come down from that state. There is one more question. One person has asked, Swamiji, when I listen to you, it feels as if whatever you are saying is ultimate truth. And I feel almost I got it. And I feel so much of relaxation, so much of happiness. But by the time next day I come back, I am same old person. What to do? There is a question, what to do? Krishna answers that question. He is here dealing that question. All these days, he was giving only the techniques to reach the level of your heart. He is penetrating the head and reaching the heart. But now he is giving you the technique, ultimate secret, to open your whole being, your complete being. Here, you don't need to believe it just. You don't need to have faith. No. Just understand, it's a secret. Just understand the secret. The whole quality of your consciousness will be changed. And here he says, it is everlasting. He says, the result is everlasting. And one more thing he says, this path is joyfully performed. Joyfully performed. He starts the secret. Those who are not faithful in this devotion, in this dharma, means in this eternal consciousness, in this path, cannot achieve me. O conqueror of enemy, is addressing the Arjuna as conqueror of enemies. O Parantapa, Parantapa means conqueror of enemies. O Parantapa, therefore, they return to the path of birth and death in material world. He says, before entering into the secret, he gives one more warning. If you understand these secrets, if you understand this ultimate secret, it will lead you to the divine. If you don't, if you are not ready, please be very clear, you will again and again take birth and death. So before entering into the secret, once more he wants, and now he opens up. Jnana yanyena chapyanye yajanto mamupasade egatvena pradakvena bhaguda vishvato mukam. Jnana yanyena chapyanye yajanto mamupasade egatvena pradakvena bhaguda vishvato mukam. People who engage in jnana yajna means understanding the truth. Jnana yajna means understanding the truth. Worship the Supreme Lord, the Divine, in the form of Advaita, Egatva, means as a one being. Even though there are so many forms, he is the same energy. He is the only one energy. He says, Pratakvena Bhaguta Vishwado Mukham. Even though there are so many forms, the energy is only one. He speaks about the quantum spirituality or the quantum physics. Quantum physics is quantum spirituality actually. 5,000 years ago he speaks about the truth. Whatever exists is energy. Egatvena pradatvena bhaguta vishwatomukam. Whatever exists is energy. There is nothing except energy. Today E equal to mc square. What Albert Einstein declares by the single statement E equal to mc square, same thing Krishna declares by saying Egatvena pradatvena bhaguta vishwatomukam. He says, by putting understandings into your being, few people try to experience my formless energy. You should understand what he means by the word jnana-yajna. Jnana-yajna means adding understandings to your being. What is nitya and what is anitya? What is satya and what is asatya? Adding this understanding is called jnana-yajna. See, in your house you keep everything prepared for your life, outwardly life. Whatever you need, a bed for sleeping, kitchen for cooking, dining table for sitting and eating. You collect all the material one by one, and then luxurious things, jewelries. One day, one jewelry. Along according to your saree color, your jewelry also changes. Sometimes the shoe also they change. With you have everything to match. You collect things, whatever you need for the outwardly life, outward comforts, you collect and store. But you forget an important fact. Same way how you collect things for the outer world existence, for outer space, you need to collect knowledge also for your inner space. Life solutions for your inner space. If you feel depressed, low, if you face some situation, how to react, how to handle, you need to have knowledge also for your inner space. Just like collecting things for the outwardly life, you need to collect life solutions for the happy, blissful life. Collecting life solutions is what he calls jnana-yajna. Collecting life solutions. I tell you one thing. If you have life solutions in your mind, I always request people, at least half an hour every day, read some book which gives you life solutions. Some books of Ramakrishna, Vivekananda. There are so many books. I have explained, I have given some books like 6 Days to Total Transformation. There are so many books. Some book, spiritual book, which gives you life solution. At least half an hour spend. If you can't spend half an hour for reading, have some audio CDs and listen in the car. In this country, at least 1 hour every day, average you all spend in driving. Average 1 hour. Whatever profession you are, or even if you don't have any other profession, just for joy, some reason, at least even if you want to go for basic things like grocery and all those things, at least 1 hour you have to drive. Average, at least 1 hour you drive. You spend in driving in this country. That 1 hour don't waste. Always have some audio CDs which will give you life solutions. It is not that it should be only my lectures or anything. Anything, something which you like, which gives you life solution. That 1 hour, let it become jnana-yajna. Add more and more life solutions into your inner space. I tell you one thing, suddenly at the time of need that life solution may come up and the depth of the depression will be reduced. The moment some life solutions come, erupts from your inner consciousness, from your inner space, immediately the depth of the depression will be reduced. The low curve will be straightened. That's the reason. Make your driving into Jnana Yajna. Let the time be used for collecting life solutions. Whether you understand or not, start listening. Let that become habit. Automatically, those life solutions, those words will start staying in your inner space. If you don't do that, you will be driving and thinking of some of your worries. If you don't spend your time in finding life solutions, you will spend your time in finding problems. You will be creating problems. Be very clear. That same time, you will be thinking of something else. You will be bothering about something else. Even if you don't have any problem, you will create some problem. If you have some problem, you will bother about it. If you don't have any problem, if everything goes smooth, usually if everything goes smooth, what do you think? The first thought is, today everything is going well, I don't know what will happen. Tomorrow, Swamiji, always when things go well for one day, next day, always I face some problem. You strongly believe if things go well today, tomorrow you are going to have problems. It becomes a strong faith in you. Whether you have problem or not, you are going to worry. Better not to allow your mind worrying. Start listening to something which gives you life solution. Let that 1 hour become Jnana Yajna. Let that 1 hour become Jnana Yajna in your life. He says, doing Jnana Yajna is one step. Understanding the whole thing is energy is a one step, one thing. When you understand whatever exists is energy, automatically the fear will be taken away from your being. The fear will be taken away from the being. The next question, how can we say whatever exists is energy, Swamiji? How can we say whatever exists is God? That is all impossible. These all things good to listen but not to practice. Our mind will never accept. This all can be experienced, practiced. So Krishna continues. He goes on. He comes out with the basic secrets to understand this concept. Yadakashastito nityam vayus sarvatra ko mahan tada sarvani bhutani matstani tyubadarayah. Like the mighty wind moving everywhere, rests always in the sky. Yadakashastito nityam vayus sarvatra ko mahan. Similarly, you know this, that all beings rest in me. Tada sarvani bhutani matstani tyubadarayah. Just how the wind rests in the sky energy. Please understand how a earth is an energy. You know earth is an energy. Stone. If a stone is thrown at you, you know. Or if you throw a stone, you know the energy of the earth. Earth. Next, water. You know the energy of water. Whomsoever knows about New Orleans, they know the energy of the water. Next, Agni, fire. California people know the power of the fire. Next, air, storm, hurricanes, tornadoes. You know the power of air. Same way, Akasha is also Shakti. We don't know the power of Akasha because it doesn't create directly any impacts and effects on our life. Akasha is disturbed by your collective negative thoughts. The collective negativity is Akasha. Akasha is related to collective negativity. Earth, corrupted, poison, only one person will suffer. For example, if your food is poisoned, you will suffer. That's all. If water is poisoned, that whole community, that county will suffer. Whomsoever gets the water supply, they will suffer. If the Agni means your inner being, the fire, whatever creates fire in you, if that is corrupted, big group will suffer. And air, if the air is polluted by chemicals, the whole country will suffer. Agni, we can say example for Agni is medicines. Because medicines are the things which keeps the Agni alive. You yourself, you healthy, physically fit. If the medicines are corrupted, the whole society will suffer. And if the air is corrupted, if medicines are corrupted, only the people who take medicine will suffer. The air is polluted, whole group will suffer. And if the space, Akasha is polluted, whole world will suffer. Each level, corruption will make the suffering for more and more people. More and more people will start suffering with the higher levels. The higher the corruption, number of people suffering will be more. Our thoughts corrupt space. Space is an energy. How the wind rests in the space, same way the whole universe rests in me. Don't think just the space is emptiness. Space is not just emptiness, it is energy. Because we are not able to see, we can't say it is an emptiness, it is energy. How the air rests in the space, our being, the whole universe, including our beings, we all rest in divine. Krishna says, all beings rest in me. Maya tadamidam sarvam jagadavyaktamurtina matstani sarvabhutani nachaham deshvavastidaha. Here he starts the intimate secrets of life and goes on. It is time to reveal the secret. Krishna starts Maya tadamidam sarvam jagadavyakta murtina matstani sarvabhutani nachagam deshvavastitaha. By me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. Before entering into this sloka, the meaning of the sloka, I want to tell you an incident. My meeting with a Nobel laureate, Charles Towns, in San Jose. In San Francisco we met him. He is a Nobel laureate, great scientist. He discovered something related to laser and maser, some secrets, some truths he discovered. Nice person. I was sitting and talking to him. We had lunch. I was talking. I asked him, how did you discover? How did this truth happen in your being? He said, Swamiji, to tell you honestly, I have not discovered. When I was relaxing in Washington, I was relaxing in a park because I was supposed to give a lecture on that subject to the group. I tried my best to collect everything because I could not do much. I could not achieve much. I was completely frustrated. Finally, in the Washington, in a park, I was sitting and relaxing. Before going to the lecture, today 9 o'clock, I am supposed to give lecture, means morning 9 o'clock, I am supposed to give lecture. Early morning 6 o'clock, I went for a walk and I was sitting. Just I was sitting, relaxing. Suddenly, like a revelation, as an intuition, the whole thing was revealed to me. The whole truth came in my consciousness. I discovered it. And he says, but the big problem is, now I know the truth, but I don't know the logical steps to come to that conclusion. So after that, I have to sit, think, develop all that logical conclusion. Only then I was able to present it. Like an intuition, suddenly it happened. It was revealed to me, Swamiji. Even Albert Einstein says, the theory of relativity is revealed to me when I was deeply meditating, as if I am sitting in the edge of a light particle and traveling in the space. At that moment only the theory was revealed. It came to me as an intuition, Einstein says. Even this is not a big thing. The truth, an important thing is, I asked him, how did you feel when that happened to you? When that revelation happened to you? Because what he experienced is intuition. What our rishis call, rishi is a person who has experienced mantra, who has seen the mantra. Mantra trayate idi rishihi. Person who sees the mantra, experiences the mantra is rishi. The ultimate truth is suddenly revealed in the rishi's consciousness. Then they express that as a mantra. Same way, he is a rishi. Charles Towns is a rishi. He had a revelation about the secrets of the outer world. His intuition revealed the truth to him. I asked him, how did you feel when that intuition happened to you? What was your feeling? He said, Swamiji, exactly I don't know how to express all those things. But one thing is sure, from that moment, I know for sure the whole universe is intelligence. The whole universe is not dead matter. It is not an accident. The universe is not an accident. It is a pure intelligence. It can respond to your thoughts. Please understand, the whole universe, the planet Earth, air, ocean, the rivers, earth, fire, or the space, sun, moon, this whole universe is intelligence. It can reciprocate, it can respond, it can react to your thoughts. This is an important basic understanding for any human being. The moment you understand, you are with energy which is intelligence. You are inside energy which is intelligence. Immediately, that moment, you will feel such a deep relaxation. The moment you experience, you understand, you are under an intelligent energy. You are taken care by an intelligent energy. You are part of cosmic intelligence. You don't need to struggle. You don't need to stress yourself. You don't need to create so much of tension. You don't need to torture yourself with all the insecurity problems. With all the insecurity problems. Some way or other, you are going to be in this universe because the universe is intelligence. It responds to your thoughts. This one understanding, if it penetrates your life, is enough. If you know universe is intelligence, you will never question, I am moral. These people who don't live morally, they are all living luxuriously, happily. I live morally, but I always suffer. You will never have all these questions because you know the intelligence will take care. Who is immoral or who is going around and disturbing others will naturally suffer because the intelligence is taking care. In the same way, if you are honest, integrated, living a spiritual life, you will live the beautiful life, you will have the reward. Because the whole universe is run by intelligence. Don't think cosmos is just a matter. If you think cosmos is matter, you are materialistic. If you understand cosmos is intelligence, you are spiritual. That's all. Only difference between materialistic and spiritual person. Materialistic person thinks the whole thing is material. Let me acquire more and more land. Let me acquire more and more material things. Because he believes the whole thing is material. Spiritual person is a person who understands the whole thing is spirit, energy. If you understand the whole thing is spirit, energy, intelligence, a tremendous relaxation, bliss consciousness happens to you. Please understand, bliss is not just a mood, it is your very consciousness. If it comes and goes as a mood, you are having one or two experiences. As one of our devotees wrote a question, it comes and goes, means you are having the initial glimpse of bliss. Through your mind, you are trying to touch the bliss. But once you understand this one secret, such a deep relaxation will happen to you. Such a deep relaxation, straight away you will start experiencing the bliss consciousness. Once you experience the bliss consciousness, it is everlasting. Bliss mood will come and go. Bliss consciousness is everlasting. He says, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me. Cosmic intelligence, be very clear. Such a big universe is moving, happening. All the planets are moving around the sun. Each planet has got their own moons. Now the latest discovery says there is a new planet in the same family they have found, which has got 3 suns. Not one sun, 3 suns around one planet. Just few weeks ago, they discovered. So now we cannot say Navagraha, we have to say Dasagraha. Now we have to say Dasagraha, the 10th planet. They already discovered. I don't know whether they published the photograph. But they say 3 suns are there. So many suns, so many moons, so many planets. But everybody is going in their route properly. Everybody is going in their route properly, no traffic police. Accidents are very rare. Unless intelligence runs the whole thing, you think so beautifully things can happen. And even in this planet Earth, see, whole thing is so beautiful. Whole thing is in such a clear way. Everything is in order. Wherever human beings live, only there is chaos. Except human beings, nobody creates chaos. Nobody creates chaos. Even in chaos, divine creates order.